Hi, it's a baby here, and welcome to our Bible study for today. Today, we're going to talk about 6 steps to overcoming your Goliath. Your Goliath can be a challenge that you're facing that seems overwhelming, or your Goliath can be a goal that you want to accomplish in this year that looks impossible. However, you know that this is something God has laid in your heart to do. So that's what Goliath refers to in this situation. We're going to take our lessons and the steps from the story of David and Goliath in 1 Samuel chapter 17. Now, in the story, Goliath had come against the children of Israel and he had been tormenting them for 40 days. And the Israelites were so scared they could not go up against Goliath. Now, David was not a part of the army. David was sent to give food to his brothers. And so David comes on the scene to deliver food. And then he hears Goliath tormenting the children of Israel again, the armies of Israel. So David then, in verse 26, goes to inquire about Goliath. And I'm going to read verse 26 quickly to see what David says. David asked the men standing near him, "What will be done for the man who kills this Philistine and removes this disgrace from Israel? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" When David comes on the scene, David gives us the keys to overcoming Goliath. Number 1 is walk conscious of the fact that God is with you. David sees Goliath, and the first thing that comes to mind for him is, who is this uncircumcised Goliath? Circumcision was a symbol of the covenant that Israel had with God that started in the days of their father Abraham. And so it is safe to say that every male child in Israel was circumcised based on the covenant. So we can assume that all of the soldiers were circumcised. All of them were in this covenant. However, because they were not conscious of that covenant and the God that backed them, they could not go up against Goliath. When David shows up, he gives us the first key to overcoming Goliath. You have to be conscious of the fact that God is with you. Now, I've been in a situation like the armies of Israel where I had the Goliath and I was overwhelmed. I remember one time I was going through a financial difficulty and I got an email from my phone company saying that my phone bill was overdue and I needed to make a payment. I didn't have any money to pay. And that email knocked me off. I was unproductive for the rest of the day. I was worrying, Lord, what do I do? Where do I get money? I was just overwhelmed. It took me hours before I started to speak to myself and say, listen, baby, you have to learn to trust God. God is your father. You can't be singing God is provider. He's a God of abundance. And then because of a phone bill, you are about to faint. So I started learning to turn my attention away from my financial giant and to focus on God, trusting that He's my Father, trusting that He will provide for me, trusting that He will meet my needs. So it is possible to face Goliath. It is possible to have a challenge and to be overwhelmed just like the armies of Israel were. It is very possible. It's happened to me, and I believe that there are some of you listening that can relate, that there are certain challenges that when they came, you didn't remember where God was. It's like, what is this? But David comes in and he gives us the first key to overcoming whatever our Goliath is that we have to walk conscious that God is with us. God is with you. If you are a born again believer, you have the Spirit of God on the inside of you, and you have to be conscious of it. The thing about our walk with God is that we only enjoy the benefits of the relationship that we have with God when we are conscious of it and when we take advantage of it. 40 days they were being tormented, that they couldn't do anything because they were not conscious that they had a God that was bigger than their challenges. David comes, he doesn't see Goliath. David sees God. He says, who is this uncircumcised a Philistine. Why? You're not backed by God. I will take you out because I know who's backing me. You have to know God is backing you in 2026. God is here to give you victory over every challenge, over every circumstance, but you have to be conscious that he is with you. So number one, walk conscious of the fact that God is with you. Number two, do not wait for validation. David is asking questions about Goliath. And when we get to verse 26, David's elder brother begins to talk down on him and he's angry at David. He's saying, where have you left the sheep? What are you doing asking people questions and talking all here? Paraphrasing. And the Bible says David walks away, right? David did not get the support that he needed from his brothers. He did not get validation from his brothers when he was trying to go up against Goliath. But regardless, he did not allow that to stop him. David continued. The Bible says he walked away and he continued asking questions. We live in a world, driven by social media where we want the likes, we want comments, we want people to validate us. And validation is good. Honestly, sometimes, it gives you motivation. But in all honesty, if you will conquer Goliath, you have to build capacity to be able to move, to take steps with or without the validation of men. So that's number two. Number three, believe in yourself. David is done with the brothers, with asking questions. He gets to Saul. I'm going to read verse 32 to 34 because I really like this one. So David gets to Saul. Then he says, don't worry about this Philistine, David told Saul. I'll go fight him. Don't be ridiculous, Saul replied. There's no way you can fight this Philistine and possibly win. You're only a boy, and he's been a man of war since his youth. I love verse 34. The Bible says, but David persisted. David gets to the king. The king doesn't believe that he can fight Goliath. And David said, well, you may not believe in me, but I believe in myself. I know what God has equipped me to do. And the Bible says David persisted. He went ahead to tell Saul and give him his resume. Listen, I killed the bear, I killed the lion, and I'm going to kill this Philistine. And he convinced Saul. David did not just believe in God. David believed in himself. He knew it was the power of God, but he knew that the power of God was working through him. Do you believe in yourself? It's not enough for us as believers to believe in God. We must believe in ourselves. David said, David didn't say God killed the lion. He didn't say God killed the bear. He said, I killed the lion. I recognize it's the power of God, but that power is working through me. I killed the bear. It is by the power of God, but it is the power of God working through me. I know who I am. I'm created in his image, in his likeness. David believed. Do you believe in yourself? And it's the same David that says in the Psalm, by God, by him, I have run through a troop. By my God, I have leaped over a wall. David believed. You have to believe in yourself. If you will conquer your Goliaths in this year, if you want to do the impossible, you want to accomplish great things in life, you have to believe in yourself. Believe in God and believe in his power to walk through your life. The Bible says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You have to believe that you can do all that God has called you to do in this year. You can conquer every giant, every Goliath, no matter how massive it is. You can do it because there's a God that backs you. So number three, believe in yourself. Number four, start with what you have. Now, David finally convinces Saul that he can go up against Goliath. And then Saul gives David his armor. We see this in verse 39 to 40. Saul gives David his armor and David says, you know what, I'm just paraphrasing here, but you can read verse 39 and 40. He says, I'm not used to these things. So he takes them off. And then David goes on to select 5 smooth stones and he puts it in his shepherd's bag, and then he takes his sling and he goes up against Goliath. This is what David had. He had stones and a sling. That's what he's been trained with. That's what he knew to do, to use at the moment. And he did not despise what he had. He started with what he had at the time. He started the battle with the stones. He went up against Goliath with what he had. When God is calling you to go up against your giants, you have to remember that he has equipped you with what you need already. In 2026, for every goal he wants you to accomplish, it may look impossible, but he has equipped you with what you need to begin. If God says start the business, you may not have the millions yet, but start with the thousands that you have. Start with the hundreds that you have. If God has called you to start a YouTube channel, you may not have the expensive camera, the perfect lighting, but you can start with what you have. If you will conquer in this year, you need to be able to start with what you have. As you begin, every other thing you need will come. We see it over in the Bible, in so many stories in the Bible. The 5 loaves and the 2 fishes. God always demands that we start with what we have. So in this year, you want to accomplish great things, begin with what you have. Number 5, get a strategy. David picks up the stones. And I think that's going to be in verse 46. David picks up the stones. He runs towards Goliath. And then Goliath looks at him and, Goliath starts challenging him. Am I a dog? And he's saying all of those things. And David responds to Goliath. And he says something quite interesting. He says to Goliath in verse 46, I will kill you and I will cut off your head. And I'm curious. I understand you can kill him because you have a stone, right? So you can use your sling and your stone and you can kill him. But how do you cut off his head if you don't have a sword, David? But you see, David went up against Goliath with a clear strategy. He knew he was going to throw a stone against Goliath. He knew where to aim the stone at. He knew that after the stone hit Goliath and Goliath falls down, he knew that the next steps he was going to take. He knew that he would run up against him. He knew he would take his sword, and with his sword, he would cut off his head. He had his steps planned out clearly. He wasn't going there uncertain of what he was going to do. He had a clear strategy. If you will overcome whatever challenge that you're going through in this year, if you're going to accomplish the goals you have for 2026, you need a strategy. You need to have a clear step-by-step plan of what you're going to do. David had a plan. He didn't go against Goliath with guesswork. He knew, I will throw my sling, I will run towards you, I'll take your sword, I'll cut off your head. You must have a strategy. A strategy is gotten from the wisdom of God. So in this year, take some time to pray and ask God, Lord, give me wisdom. How do I go about accomplishing all that you're desiring for me in this year? Or if you're dealing with a challenge, go to God and ask for wisdom. How do you go about it? When we step out in the wisdom of God, we release, God releases his power to back that. So have a strategy. And lastly, number 6 is execute by faith. When David was going up against Goliath, he wasn't going up with a 50-50 chance. As far as David was concerned, Goliath was dead. David was going up knowing he had the victory, and he was going with everything he had. The Bible says in verse 48, David ran quickly towards Goliath. You cannot conquer a giant you do not confront. You cannot accomplish a goal that you don't give your all to. He ran quickly. His energy, his focus, everything was channeled towards Goliath. So if you want to accomplish the goals that God has for you in this year, if you want to overcome the challenge, you need to channel all your energy, your resource, and execute with precision whatever strategy that God gives to you, and you execute by faith. What does it mean to execute by faith? You execute knowing you already have the victory. You're not going to try to get the victory. You're not trying to see if it will work. No, you do have the victory. So David executed by faith. And I believe that if we apply these 6 steps, we will be able to overcome whatever Goliath we have in 2026. So step number 1, walk conscious of the fact that God is with you. Number 2, don't wait for validation. Number 3, believe in yourself. Number 4, start with what you have. Number 5, get a strategy. Get that from God's wisdom. And number 6, execute by faith. Before you go, I want you to do something for me. Based on the season that you're in, I want you to tell me which one of these steps stands out to you the most, and which one would you be putting into practice right away. For me, based on the season I am in, I believe that number 1 applies very much to me. I need to walk more conscious that God is with me, because I have quite a number of giants that are trying to overwhelm me. So for me in this season, I need to be conscious of that. And my second one would be execute by faith. There are certain things that God has given me a strategy for, and I need to rise up and execute by faith. So those would be my 2 takeaways, and the 2 things that I would be applying in this week. So I want you to tell me in the comments, of all the 6 steps, which one is priority for you based on the season that you're in. So thank you for joining me. Be sure to subscribe, to like this video, and share it with someone so they can also be blessed. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you next time.